Morning, Mike Whaley. Morning, Minnesota Maker. How's everybody doing today? I had a very, let's call it, interesting day yesterday. Ended up going to the hospital and spending a little time there. Sucked. Still kind of sucks because it's a kidney stone and I haven't managed to pass it yet, so still a little bit of pain. A little more manageable now, but yeah. So I tried to start a print before I went to bed last night, and I had taken some meds and was getting ready to actually fall asleep. I got to the point where I was like ready to pass out. I thought I'll go in and check on the print one last time before I go ahead and sack out. And well, I don't know if you can see it. Had a nice little layer shift. Let's see. So several hours of printing down the drain in material, and just stopped it, and I was too groggy at that point to even restart it, and went to bed. I'm still trying to shake off the effects of everything this morning, and so moving a little slow. Yeah, layer shifts are obnoxious. So, yeah, there was the front bumper of the sports car, and this was the fender over here that was beginning to grow, and it, layer shifted. The other parts in the trash. Had this out, I went ahead and ripped it out of the supports to just to check the alignment and fit what part I had printed, so I could make sure that everything was looking right distance wise. There was enough for me to measure that. So it looks good. It needs to print without a layer shift. Yeah, I don't know. Because it printed, the last print before that just fine, and it was a large piece too. Wheels are not glued on yet. Let's take them off. It printed the back section here. That was the last print before all that, and it printed fine. Before trying the front part. I mean, the front part's a little bit longer, but essentially the same size. And where I kept getting failures on this was it was breaking loose from the bed. So I solved that by printing a brim on it, not just a skirt, and then it printed fine. So I started off the front with a brim to avoid the same potential problem on it. Some cleanup there. Nah, Chris had nothing to do with it. You and Glenn always trying to blame Chris Riley. Morning, Ed. So yeah, I'm not real into all this today. To being all things being honest, and after the day I had yesterday, it's hard to feel like doing anything today. That and in the hospital that I was at, they're awful. They're terrible. It's the worst hospital stay I've ever had in my life. So they finally get me admitted. I guess we got there like 4 o'clock in the morning, and it took them till 6:30 to get me admitted. And then it was really cold in there, so I asked for a blanket, and I asked for something to drink because I was thirsty. So let's just say they I sound like Don now. Let's just say they discharged me at, it was 11:30. I still hadn't had a blanket or anything to drink. So 5 hours later of asking multiple people for a blanket, something to drink. I'm like, I'm trying to pass a kidney stone here. Some fluids might be helpful. So, yeah. And they put an IV in my arm. But then, so they got the IV started. And they hooked a bag up to it. But they go like, but then the girl's like looking at the paperwork. And she's like, well, I don't see where they've ordered a bag of fluids yet. So I can't start pushing the bag. And I said, well, the doctor, when he was in here earlier, said he wanted to get a bag of fluids in me. And she said, well, I don't see any orders for it. I said, okay. So she's like, I'll go ask, and I'll be right back. She never came back. And then they did a CT scan to look for the stone and where it was at. And they proceeded to lose my CT scan results, and it took them 3 hours to find them. And they're like, we can't just do the CT again, otherwise, insurance will want to bill for it twice. I'm like, well, but you guys lost the results. So yeah, it was a mess. So if you're ever in Clarksville, Tennessee, don't go to the hospital. Don't go to the hospital. Drive to the one in Nashville. Yeah, so they lost my CT results. Took them 2.5 hours to get me admitted. 5.5 hours and of asking for something to drink and a blanket. Never got it. Either one. They're like, they come in and they're like, okay, we're discharging you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so did you find the CT results? I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, we found those. You have a rather large kidney stone, just as we suspected, but it's getting ready to pass into the bladder. So once it passes into the bladder, you should be out of the majority of the pain. It goes faster from that point. And I'm like, okay, so how much longer are we talking? And oh, well, anybody's guess. Stay hydrated. Follow up with our urologist. If it hadn't passed in 7 to 10 days, he'll have to go in there and retrieve it. I was like, okay. Then they gave me some painkillers and paint strainers. So yeah, every time I go to the restroom, I have to strain it through. It's basically one of those funnels that you pour paint through to make sure you don't get any obstructions in your paint. And so, yeah, they released me with painkillers and paint strainers. It's like, there you go. See you later. Stay hydrated. I was like, well, I was trying. I kept asking for a drink. No one brought me one. So yeah, not exactly an award-winning hospital. Yeah. Yeah, do not if it's hospital issues, stay away from the one in Clarksville if you can. So I'm still very sore and very tired today. So that's why I said I'm not really into all this morning. But we're going to do our best. So yeah, this is the same thing that I ended up missing Joe's D&D thing over. It's the same symptoms and whatnot, same problem. This was just longer and more intense. All right, so let's see here. I released yesterday, after I got home from the hospital, I released for patrons. Yeah, it was even worse yesterday, Joe. It was way worse. I released for my patrons. I released the files to print the gun turret and the missile launcher. Which I need to tighten up the tolerances on that maybe just a little, because it is a little bit wobbly. But I did break one of the mounts when I was putting it together, so that may be why it's wobbly. Just need to reprint it and try it. Which the missiles are removable. Missile. Yeah, Joe, it's been an ongoing thing for a while. If y'all remember that first night on Discord when I was in all that pain, hey trolling, that was the first night, and so it hurts. It mainly hurts when it moves. Is the thing, because yeah, just basically spiky ball. It is the closest thing a man can ever come to the pain of childbirth. So it was an excruciating event. So yeah, missiles are removable. It pivots on the mount like it's supposed to. Like I said, I broke one of the tabs when I was putting it together, so that's probably why that's a little loose, because the gun isn't that loose. Because there are little tabs on the bottom of the base. That's how that pegs into the hole on the deck lid. And I thought we were going to have front fenders for the sports car to show off this morning. But that's when I went into talking about, layer shifts being annoying, because you can see it shifted quite a bit there. one layer shift. Significant layer shift. It doesn't help to dissolve them. It just it does help with the health of your general health of your kidneys and urinary tract. And it's just because of the antioxidants and stuff in it. It doesn't dissolve the stones though. Yeah, I've been told that a few times, Ed, that I should put a spring style system in it and stuff and all that. And I may at some point, revision 2. But I went ahead and released the files for that to patrons, so patrons can go ahead and arm their Jeeps if they so choose to do so. So now patrons have access to the 2-door Jeep, the 4-door Jeep, and the missile launchers and gun turrets. Then the plan is November 1st, I'm going to make the base model of the 2-door Jeep available to the public. And then I guess it's like 2 weeks later, the 4-door base model. And then I will start releasing to the public after that in slow progression some of the other parts. Only problem with that trolling is I've never drank a drop of alcohol in my entire life. I'm 41 and I don't plan on starting now. My family was generations of alcoholics and drug addicts and child neglectors and abusers and et cetera, et cetera. And I made the decision when I was like 12 years old that that cycle ended with me. I'm like, whatever it is in my family's genes apparently can't handle the stuff because it was generation after generation. So I'm like, I'm just gonna end that right here. So how's everybody else doing today? hopefully having better days than I had yesterday. Gator farm. Yeah. No thanks. Well, thanks, Papa Top. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm doing better today. I'm still sore. I did something that I haven't done in a long time, and that was I missed a show. I missed my show last night. I got a substitute vocalist to go in and take over and front my show for me last night. So that my guys didn't miss out on their income. So I missed out on my income, but they didn't miss out on theirs. But I was just, after I got home from the hospital, I guess it was about noon. And I got home from the hospital, and I hadn't been to bed yet because I'd been up all night with the pain. And I was like, well, I could still go to work, but I got to leave in like 3.5 hours, and I haven't been to bed yet. And I was on some pain meds and stuff at the time, and I just didn't think it was a good idea to try to make a 1 hour drive on while loopy on Percocet and no sleep to go to work and play a 4 hour show and then make another 1 hour drive home. Hopefully, yeah, I think I'll be back on my feet by Thursday. Come hell or high water, I'll be there because, well, I can afford to miss one show. I can't afford to miss two. I missed one show, it makes things tight. I missed two shows, it makes things impossible. I missed 3 shows. I'll be holding a cardboard sign next to those other guys on the sidewalk downtown. Hey, Ben. So yeah, Thursday, 6:15 to 10:15 p.m. I'll be at the stage, rooftop. Morning, John. Morning, Rover. Yeah, the pains I'm having in my back now are like more dull aches, which I think is just like residual leftover pain from yesterday's damage. That's just, still hurts. It's not the sharp, constant pain that I had all night the night before. So I don't think this is the stone moving that I'm in pain for right now. I think this is the healing from the damage the stone did moving the night before. Yeah, I'm probably going to keep this pretty short today. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to skip it all together. I feel an obligation to show up and do this, in the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I try to uphold that as much as possible. Ben, I don't know if you've been over to my Discord lately, but yesterday I released the files for to my patrons, which are you are included on that for the turret, for the gun turret and missile turret. So if you wish to arm your Jeep, you'll be able to do that. I was talking about that earlier before you got here, so. Which the same parts that you use to put the turret on the 2-door Jeep, we'll put it on the 4-door Jeep. So whichever version of the Jeep you decide to print, a 2-door or a 4-door, you can put a turret on it if you choose. You have options. Thanks, Charlie. Be right back. Need to tell. Lawn care crew. Yeah. The lawn care. Oh, well, you're on the East Coast, so that's like 9:30 in the morning there. So that, yeah, it's okay. I was like 8:30 in the morning. That seemed early to be doing that, and then oh, never mind. It's 9:30 on the East Coast. Oh, all right. So let's do something fun. Save as. We're going to manipulate some vertices and turn this into something else. And right here, don't need roll bar anymore. Actually, wait. Might use that later. So let's just hide it for now. Hide those. Hide those. Hide that. That's all right, Joe. It doesn't bother me. I've come to look at trolls like I look at political songs from Green Day. Annoying at first, and then after a while, it just doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to get rid of that too. We're going to hide that. Okay, so all of this stuff, let's select it all. Let's copy it. And let's go to a whole new layer. Let's paste this stuff in the layer because we're going to need all this stuff, I think, to do what I'm planning on doing. But we don't need anything else, so I don't want anything else on this layer. Delete those things. Yeah, well, sad part is they didn't, Robbie. They didn't accomplish anything. They just wasted their time. And I will let them waste their time. They can waste it all they want. At some point, they'll venture off and find lives of their own. Or they'll die of old age. That's coming close for them anyway. Yeah, I plan on putting a spare tire holder on it at some point, and I was going to do that. I've got a race version that I have planned that is just adding different accessories to it for a race version. And one of the things that the race version I'm going to do will have. Oops, wrong one. Okay, hold on. I'm going to save this here. We file open recent. The race version will have a different top on it and be kind of sleeker looking, and then it'll have a spare tire mount to mount a spare tire on an angle here across the back. Really? I might have to try that. I've never tried printing anything but PLA, so I may have to give it a try. Well, I'd always heard from Joe, the 3D Maker noob, that you can print flexible on any machine. You just have to change your speed. He's like, because most people, you'll hear most people say you can't print flexible with a Bowden tube, and he says, I print flexible with a Bowden tube all the time. You just have to slow down and turn off your retraction. That's what we're doing here, Charlie, is I'm turning this into a pickup truck. That's why I started doing this stuff, and I was going to show you guys how just manipulating vertices we can change change everything. And so, if you can see in the title, it's the VSV version 2 truck. The Ender 2 is doing great now. I've got it all straightened out. I had to take the mounting plate for the Y-axis motor. The mounting plate, I had to remove it and take it out to the garage and beat on it with a hammer a little bit and flatten it out because it was bent pretty badly. And so I took it out in the garage, laid it on the cement floor, and just lightly tapped it until it was flat again. And then put it back on. And then I took the control box apart and double checked the plugs on everything, and it stopped doing the flipping on the power, and the screen was just blank. And so I never did find a connector that felt loose, but one of them must have been just slightly loose. I never did feel one like click further in when I was pushing on it, but I just, I opened up the control box and I pushed on all the connectors, made sure all the connectors were plugged in as solid as could be on the back of the LCD screen and on the board. And now every time I turn it on, I get the display reading the way it's supposed to. So one of the connectors somewhere was loose. Yes, layer shifts are annoying. Layer shifts ruined my print. I didn't have a plan for modeling today because, well, I'm still tired and sore. I didn't know how long of this I would feel up to doing. So I was like, well, we'll talk about the layer shifts and we'll start there, and then we'll see what happens. So this is what's happening. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is grab all these vertices. We'll probably end up deleting most of these, but I'm just going to slide them back to get them out of the way for now. While we work on the cab. Yeah, I will make some other turret mounted weapons and stuff um, in the near future. Yeah, a sci-fi like laser is in the plans. Um, yeah, a limo would be cool. You would certainly have to have a big printer to do a limo because even the four door Jeep, Roy Holly started printing the four door Jeep on his Prusa, and the only way he could fit the frame for the four door Jeep on the Prusa was to turn the frame on its side and then turn it at an angle on the build plate, and it just barely fit. Um, but yeah, you know, this is not the original VSV. The original VSV, I had some features on it that were never going to work, and so I just started from scratch. The original VSV, I had a limo version. Um, there's the limo version of the original VSV. But there were a lot of things I did wrong in designing the original VSV, and so I just started from scratch. There are certain aspects of this one that I like better, though. Now looking back on it, I like this back end here better than the roll bar I've got, which means I may go back and make a solid, less angular piece for here to do what the roll bar does. But yeah, there was the limo version of the original VSV. The things that weren't going to work was I had functional suspension designed. See, with leaf springs and all that. Well, testing it, there was just no way that those were going to hold up in PLA after you compress the springs. 7, 8, 9, 10 times they would break. I think maybe Ninja Flex Cheetah could be used to print the leaf springs and they would work. Yeah, this was designed for like VIP protection detail. And I may still go back and make a version of this for the new VSE. Right now we're making a truck. Move it along the X. Yeah, see the original VSV angled more in here, which I think when I do the race version of the Jeep, I'll do a rooftop design that angles more in, and with a shorter greenhouse on the race version. Right now we're just doing a pickup truck version because I want to. Oh, okay. Are you vicious? Are you vicious? Are you? Are you vicious? What do you see? It's just a guy walking his doggy. The guy's just walking his doggy. It's okay. Yeah, that might be kind of cool. Which, maybe there's a lot of things that I would like to go back and revisit on all these designs and maybe find a modular way to add things like functional suspension or steering in as an upgrade kit. Yeah, I think of the race version as kind of having a little bit of a chop top on it. Think of, for aerodynamic reasons. Because, like, the car that I manipulated the Jeep into is using the same components as the Jeep. It just has a shorter window frame that's angled back a little bit more. So yeah, all these things are. I have not released the lifted axles. I could do that. I could do that. I could, since I haven't printed any of it out and tested, I'd have to release the lifted axles and the oversized tires to make the lift kit. But I could do that. I could put those up today if you want, Roy. If you would like to print out the lift kit, I will do it. All right, so you're not vicious. Nobody's scared. No, nobody's scared. He thinks he's a bigger dog than he is. Let's delete those vertices. He's so vicious. He thinks he is anyway. Delete those faces. Are you vicious? And there is a little low growl. Sure, man. Yeah, after I get done with the stream today, I will go and export those STLs, and because it's just 2 STLs I have to export. One for the axle, which you print 4 of them, and one for the tire, which you print 4 of those. Which maybe we'll make a back end at some point that's got a tandem axle design, so you put like a 4 wheels in the back, like an extended bed. Be kind of cool. See, there's all sorts of modular ideas that come to mind, and a lot of that may hinge off of what I do with the truck here. What's up, killer? What's up, killer? Why you jump? Come here. Say good morning. In the morning. Say, I'm a killer. I think I am. I think I'm a killer. Shy fishes. Yeah. You're vicious, aren't you? Vicious. 5-point harness. Right? Well, yeah, a racing version. I'll maybe make some cool racing seats and stuff for it. Right now, we're on the pickup truck version. I see something that perplexes me so. Vexes me so. Joseph. Joey. It's okay. Joey. Alright, there you go. Later, Don. Yeah. Yeah, right, Minnesota Maker. He thinks he's vicious. He does. He thinks he's a killer. We want to extrude only along the Y. Let's lock that to the Y axis. Oop, not the vertices. I want to delete the faces, not the vertices. Faces. There we go. That's better. No, I don't. Thank you, Roy. Yeah, hopefully that's something that when they do the new version of Blender, that they put back in natively so that you don't have to go in and run an external script every time you want to do it. You have to go in and run an external script, and then you have to go into the this menu here and turn it on. It used to be native in Blender, but it was broken, so they couldn't find how to fix it, so they just took it out. So then somebody came up with a non-native workaround that you could run an external script and add it. Because everything in Blender is it's Python code is all it is, and so there are some Python programmers out there and stuff that have written some nice little functional add-ons. Very cool, man. Looking forward to you giving us a tour of that new studio. It was supposed to be Joe, but they pushed it back. They pushed it back. Now it's looking like December or January. Your free version is Fusion 360 not free anymore? I thought it was free to anybody who made less than $100,000. Did they change that and I missed it? Yeah, this was just a couple weeks ago. They pushed it back to December or potentially early January. Unless they got figured out what they didn't think was going to be ready. I mean, because you can download it now, it's just not stable. It's not stable and it's not finished. But you can download it now. Yes, it's still in beta. I need to get some more beverage, something to drink. I will be right back. I gotta stay hydrated. You went outside and got your feet all wet. Hi. Yeah, so it's in beta right now, but yeah, you can download it. It's not stable. So they tell you not to work on any important projects because it could crash and you could lose everything. Yeah, Blender should always be free. It was founded on the whole open source principle, and only comes into existence because there are so many people working on it to move it forward. They say refuse delivery because they're running late and they want to be able to buy themselves some more time. So I hesitated to do this at first because then it won't share the same doors with the Jeep and you have to print a separate version. But I think the shortness of the doors won't work for a truck. So I have to put some longer doors on it. I am feeling better, Colin. I'm still sore and still tired, but feeling better. Yeah, Ben, you were after the Jeep before I even decided how I was going to release it. You can't have my granola bar. It's got chocolate chips in it. No. You can do all the begging you want. Now go on. Come here. Come here. See, it's all gone. They ate it. It's all gone. So let's see. You save this. And you go get a piece from the four-door Jeep. You need this piece. I'm going to copy it. Go back here. Oh, and after I left the file, I'll have to go to the text editor. Goodness. Gross. Quit sneezing on me. Makes it hard to work. Yeah. But G.I. Joes to scale with Joey, there'd be a lot of them. Good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yes. Yep. Roy's watched some of the music streams. Hashtag Joey the dog. You know, Joseph, this would be a lot easier without you laying across my arm. Well, if I do that, that's going to drag that with it. I don't want it to drag that with it. Well, they got a whole lot of whack. We would like to get a female Bichon and name it Fiona. And call her Fee. Right, Robbie? Right? What, Joe? What's the matter, boy? What's the matter? You want down? Hmm? Daddy would like it if you would get down. Get down. Go on. Go on. Go play. Yeah, yeah. He goes pretty far on walks. Um, that's one of my son's favorite activities with his dog is to go on walks, and they will leave the house and they will be gone for 2 hours, and they will come back in and Joey will be just dead tired. So he gets good walks because they won't come back until one of them is done. Joey is 2 years old. Well, not even quite two, is he? Wait, I don't know. I have to go back and look. I think 2 years old. I believe, right there ish. It was in February. Which February was it? It all starts running together after a while. I sometimes forget how old I am. Yeah, he's just a pup. He's still just a pup. A young, virile, intact male. Yeah, and it's not like they're walking constantly or like going hardcore while they're out. Joey stops and sniffs at and stops and pees on anything that's more than 4 inches tall. If there's a blade of grass that's more than 4 inches tall, he's got to stop. And after a while, he runs out, but he still has to go through the ceremony of sniffing it and raising his leg on it, even though it's just nothing. He's tapped out. He still tries to pee on it. Okay, the easy and lazy way to do this. It'll be just to extrude on the X. Bring it up a ways. Just kind of eyeballing it right now. I'm going to have to go in and make some adjustments at some point. Or did we lose our... Forgot to start it. Okay. What? Quit. Nope. Where's that at? Join. There we go. And we'll Z. Select this side and delete it. I'll work with one side at a time. Later, Ben. It was good hanging with you, man. I've just been so self-absorbed in what I'm doing right now. I haven't even been paying much attention to chat. Sorry. Alright, so let's select that. And let's select that. And bridge edge loops. Hey, Matt Johnson. Oh no, we can do that too, Roy. We can definitely do that too. I got to take some measurements and do some mathematical calculations in order to get the bed the right length. So, haven't done that yet. Just kind of generally eyeballing stuff right now while designing. Because all this on this frame has got to go too. It's all going to go away. It's going to have to. and do something different. Save. We haven't done that in a little while. Beer. Does that box look too long? The truck box. Like I said, I still got to do some calculations. I want to have it, eyeballed fairly close before I do it. Before we go any further. I don't know. It's not hard to change dimensions on it. So now this has got to go through some substantial changes. In fact, let's actually get rid of all this. I knew I'd find it eventually. All right, Robbie. Thanks for hanging for a while, buddy. We'll see you later. So what I was doing there was I duplicated the item, I cut it off at the ends, and I knew the geometry would be the same from one side to the other. So then I could just join those two objects now that I created that were duplicates, join them together, and then highlight both of the open ends across from each other and hit bridge edge loops, and it would make them one piece again. Joey. G, O, Z, move down. Right? Everyone could use a pickup truck in real life, I think. No, I could use one because every once in a while I need to tow or haul something a little larger than my Honda Pilot can handle. And then when that happens, I end up having to rent something or borrow my father-in-law's truck. But a pickup isn't practical for day-to-day life for me for like every day. But I certainly would have use for one on an intermittent basis. Hmm. You're being an awful big crybaby this morning. What's wrong with you? Morning, Vince. We are converting the Jeep into a truck now. need to redo some stuff on that bumper, but actually probably just get rid of most of it. But we're making progress. Rome wasn't built in a day, but this pickup truck might end up being built in a day, possibly. No, let's not do that. Let's ring cut this. There, it's better, I think. I gotta go see what's wrong with my dog. Be right back. What? What are you crying about? All right, I'm back. Chill. I haven't started printing anything yet today. My room's still kind of cold. Better now, Joe? He was hungry. Okay. That's you, Joe. My puppy Joe. He was hungry. Okay, calm down there, CIC. Joe, I made you a moderator if CIC doesn't chill out a little bit. You know what to do. Yeah, I'll make a dually version of it. Everybody's welcome in here, but you got to come in here and act like you got some sense. Yeah. I'm gonna try and go ahead and go all the way till the scheduled 10 o'clock. How you doing, Clyde? You get that stuff sorted out with your former employer? Not quite yet. I know that stuff can go slowly sometimes. You got other job prospects hitting you up yet? Yeah, sometimes it's hard not to be vindictive when somebody's being a butt, though. Yeah, I haven't tried setting up any like an Etsy store or anything like that. Might be an interesting way to set up an Etsy store and just go ahead and pre-print some of these Jeeps and stuff as a like assemble it yourself kit and see if they would sell. Only problem is it's those Jeeps are depending upon the cost of materials, $20-$30 worth of material alone, let alone the time. It takes like 3 days to print one. Although I guess if I turned it into a production process, I could probably fit, 2 or 3 frames at a time on the S4, and then, crank them out a little faster. Just have less changeover time. But then a print failure would be even more catastrophic. So, you have a layer shift like I had last night. It wouldn't be just one part failing; it'd be multiple. So I don't know. So we have the beginnings, at least, of a truck. Right? Well, because the thing is, I had some people on the GI Joe forum I want to ask me if I was going to sell these, and I thought about it. I thought long and hard about it. I was like, if I try to sell the actual printed here it is, I mean, I would have to sell this Jeep for probably 50 or 60 bucks just to make it remotely worthwhile. And I don't know, I don't know if anybody would want to spend 50 or 60 bucks on this. Yeah, as soon as I figure out a tank tread that works, a half track is going to happen. Right now, at least the Jeep is planning to go public for free. Um, but patrons get early access to the STL files, and then it will go to the public for free. At least the basic version. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do everything free, but at least the basic version is going to be free. Which the basic version of the Jeep is just this version here. I don't have the roll bar glued on this because I'm still, I've been still testing some stuff. So that's why the roll bar is still removable. But yeah, that is. Oops. I'm thinking November 1st is my tentative release date for the Jeep to the public. That way, patrons will have had it for over a month. And that's available to everybody, whether it, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever. Oh, is your birthday November 1st? So yeah, I've been thinking, I'll make the basic version of the Jeep, base model of the Jeep, available for free. And then I was thinking maybe the things like, like the turrets and stuff. I was thinking of maybe leaving those as Patreon exclusives. Maybe. And like some upgrade kits, like lift kits and things like that for it. That way anybody can get the base model of the Jeep, and then if somebody wants to do all the extra cool stuff with the Jeep, come join me on Patreon. $1 a month. Yeah, I just don't know if I certainly wouldn't have the time for a maker box type situation. Although it'd be cool, um, where you could package up enough filament for someone to print it, and a download code or something for the STL files. But making so much of it modular, I'm able to make totally different things just by making some adjustments and making some new pieces. So like this truck that you see on your screen right now, it shares the same wheels, tires, and axles, um, front bumper, grill guard, front end, windshield with the Jeep. I did make the doors longer, so it'll be different doors and a different back end. but shares the seats and steering wheel and all that with the Jeep. So it'll have a different frame, different back end, different doors, but share a lot of pieces with the Jeep. And even the sports car can share some pieces. You can use, just kind of jammed up there. You can actually use the sports car axles, wheels, and tires with the Jeep. You would just end up with a lowrider Jeep. So if you wanted to make yourself a Jeep and make it a lowrider, you could print the axles, wheels, and tires designed to go on the sports car and just put them on the Jeep. And boom, you'd have a lowrider. I don't know why that wheel right there is binding up. It was not earlier. Or maybe I didn't. Spin it a few times, it'll loosen up. Something's jamming it up in there. There it goes. It's loosening up now. But yeah, you can print the axles, wheels, and tires from the sports car, put them on a Jeep, and have a lowrider Jeep if you wanted to. And then I'm going to do a race-inspired version of the Jeep that's going to have a different top on it and some stuff. That'll be you know, a little sleeker looking, but it'll have its parts interchangeable with any of the Jeeps as well. So the more parts that are interchangeable from one vehicle to the next, the more customization that gives people, and the more options I have for going in and just creating one new part that now can be a new part for multiple vehicles. Like, by the same token, if you wanted to do something silly looking, you could take the sports car and you could put the Jeep's axles and tires and wheels on it and look like you have a lifted sports car. The wheels just don't want to loosen up and stay loosened up. I also plan on making a rear deck version for the sports car that can use the turret. So you could do a turret on the back of a sports car and have this like fast strike military vehicle thing going on. So yeah, I'm going to do, you know, lots of interchangeable parts or special parts that will make things interchangeable from one model to the next. And so then the possibilities grow exponentially with each passing new design I make. That's the idea anyway. Morning, Ron. Coming in right towards the end. Canadian Maker Project. Good to see you, man. What's your problem now? I gave you food. Or you just want attention? So yeah, that's you know, where we're at so far with the truck. So I still got a tailgate. Got to finish out the bed, finish out the rear bumper, put a roof on it, and then it'll be done. Now the length of the front, well, and I need to adjust, take some measurements. I need to sit down and convert 6.5 feet and 8 feet into millimeters and divide it by 18 to get 1/18 scale, so I can make a 6.5 foot bed and an 8 foot bed. And then we'll widen the rear and make a dually version. And extend the cab and make an extended cab version. I may need to go in and split the frame into two pieces too and figure out how to connect those two pieces together. Because I think that's going to be necessary given the length that this thing is going to end up being. Because the truck is going to be much longer than the Jeeps. And even on the S4, it starts getting, pretty long. The four-door Jeep, you can barely fit it, if you're really careful on a Prusa. Because Roy Holley was able to put the frame for the four-door on his Prusa, but he had to turn the frame up on its side and diagonally to get it to just barely fit. Yeah. Yeah, I've still got to build a tailgate. And model out some tail lights and stuff. And hinge the tailgate so it's open. You can open and close it. You're not vicious. Nobody's scared. Stop. No, stop. So yeah, I've still got to finish modeling out the back of the bed and the tailgate and the tail lights and stuff, and finish the bumper. I need to get the dimensions right on the length of the bed for both a 6.5 foot box and an 8 foot box. So yeah, that's going to require some math and measurements, but I know how to do all that stuff. It just takes me a little bit to do it, and then yeah, and then we'll have a truck out of a Jeep, and we did the bulk of the work in what, an hour and a half. Yeah, then we can make camper shells for it and all sorts of stuff. Again, it's continuing the modular design nature. Same thing with, I'm going to make a trailer hitch at some point that works with the back bumper on all the Jeeps, and also will be on the truck. Have these openings. These openings are designed for something to be plugged into them, just like they're the same openings on the front bumper that the grill guard plugs into. So you can print a Jeep and not print the grill guard if you want, and go sans grill guard. See if I can pull it out of there without ripping the bumper off. Nope, I ripped the bumper off. This is why I need 3D gloop. So yeah, you can, if you don't want the grill guard on your Jeep, you can print the Jeep without the grill guard. The grill guard is an optional accessory. I just prefer to have it. And Roy, I will get those lift kit files put up there for you today. But yeah, so the grill guard is an optional accessory. There will be an optional accessory for the rear that's a trailer hitch, and then I will design out some trailers and just talk about, again, just continuously numerous ways that you can print what pieces and parts you want and make an endless combination of different setups. Yeah, so yeah, we'll make all sorts of different camper shells and slide ins and bed accessories and whatnot. It's for both civilian and military application. And we'll just continue rolling along the modular nature of my vehicle design, so that they intertwine with each other, they share parts with each other, and that way with each passing vehicle design that comes out will offer more customization, more parts, and more fun for even past designs, because so many parts are interchangeable. Right, and that's the plan. You know, that's the whole design uh, principle behind my vehicle systems is that, you know, many of the parts will be interchangeable, and many of the parts will a part for this vehicle can enrich your possibilities for one of the other vehicles. And the interchangeable and swappable, like I said, you know, again, a good example is the sports car wheels and tires and axles can be printed and put on a Jeep and make a lowrider Jeep if you're into lowriders. Um, you know, things are just, you know, continuing. James, what's going on, man? The my design principle is that many of my parts are interchangeable and modular from one vehicle to the next, James. So that with each passing vehicle that I design and add to the collection, it will add even more parts and customizable options for other vehicles and other, you know, and previous vehicles even. Yeah, I'm still streaming, Jesse. I've been streaming since 8 o'clock this morning. I was supposed to be shut down right around now, but I'm right, James. Yeah, exactly. You know, because it also makes me design stuff faster when I can just literally borrow and modify parts from other vehicles to make the new parts for the new vehicle. And then in the process, you're creating parts that are interchangeable with the previous vehicle, since it's just a modified version of it. Like these these wheels are considerably different than the Jeep's wheels, but you can use those on the Jeep instead of the Jeep's wheels, or you can use the Jeep's wheels on the sports car instead of the wheels are designed for a sports car, because they use the same size axle peg. You can use the axle from the sports car on the Jeep and just mount it, you know, give yourself a low rider, or flip it over and it gives it maybe even a possibly different ground clearance. I haven't looked to see what sort of ground clearance I would get out of, since I already disconnected that by accident. Give me an idea. Yeah, that would give a little bit of a lift to it right there, just using the sports car axles but flipping them over. See if I can pull this axle loose on here, because it is glued. Joseph, hush. Okay, well, that's not going to come off. That glue's holding good. There we go. Broke it loose. All right, so case in point, there is the sports car wheel and tire installed on a Jeep. It would work, it would just give you a lowrider Jeep. Yeah, that's a good idea, Roy. And then I think I could use the axles actually that are on. If you just flip the axle over, see how it lowers that, because your axle's frame mounting point is offset. So if you flip it over, it's like a lift. So it's actually using the sports car axle to give you a little bit of lift to, you could then put the, hold on, let's see here. You pull this tire off of this wheel, that tire off of this wheel, come on. Yeah, I need to design a little bit taller tire for that. But doing that would give you some lift and make a little bit taller tire. It could be interesting. I don't know, I'll have to compare it to the axles I had designed for the lift kit to see if they give you about the same amount of lift. Because if so, then I'll just release the sports car axles and you can use those for the lift kit. And you get that just by flipping them over, whether you want to, which you can't put the 4x4 tires will not go on there. Well, I guess they won't really spin very well, but you can get them on there. So yeah, I just ripped apart my Jeep on the stream to show you guys the principles behind the stuff, but hush, Joe. You're fine. So anyway, yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. Is that how many of these parts are interchangeable with each other just in this little bit of configuration alone, and giving you some options in how you want to print and assemble your vehicles. Yeah, let's see here. Let me save this, and I'll show you guys the lift kit. Here's the lifted Jeep with its oversized tires. And that's just swapping on different axles and different tires. Those tires will take a substantial amount of time and material to print, but yeah. That's the lift kit. And then where was I had designed this little thing here for the hood that I haven't tested yet. It'd be a glue-on accessory that just kind of gives it a different look, you know. So yeah, there's limitless possibilities as far as, you know, printing out different pieces and assembling it in different ways to, you know, give your Jeep a, you know, very specific look, you know, something that you want to do. I was going to put on this, I was going to put some mounting points to mount like a shovel and and model up like a sleeping bag thing and have it look like that too. So it gets some of the accessories that the Vamp had could be clipped to this thing. I might be able to join in this Friday. I might be able to. I can't say for 100% certainty. There's a 60-40 shot. What's the subject this week, John? Yeah, I could do a snorkel. That'd be easy. Okay, so yeah, if I can, man, I'll be there. Um, I just got to clear it with the boss. And one thing that I've thought about doing is splitting this up for another revision, and that way you could print the hood as okay. John's not here. Uh, as separate pieces, the hood and the fender as separate pieces, and glue them together. Because I did split them up like that for my 4-door to make it faster to print. But I've been thinking about splitting them up like that on purpose. Like purpose design for everybody that way. That way you could make multiple different hoods, and then actually set it up so that it pegs into place rather than I had to glue mine into place. And then you could make multiple different hoods, maybe even openable hoods, and then start making some mock-up engine bay things so it look like there's different engines and stuff under there. Might be interesting. Right. So it's all things that are going to be possible as this progresses forward. And with the Jeep sharing the 2-door, 4-door with the truck, all sharing the same front clip, any changes or upgrades or modifications I make to the front clip for one will be applicable to all of them. So you can go back and pop your glue loose on your mold or on your model, and if I make something in the future that you want better than the one you got, you print it out and just go back and pop the mold loose and put the new piece on. All right. Well, I'm about spent for today. It's a long and arduous day yesterday. So I'm going to start a print on my printer and on the S4, and then I'm going to go lay down for a little bit. But thank you guys for hanging out, and appreciate you guys coming in, and thanks for the thumbs up and the thumbs down, even the cowardly ones that didn't leave a reason why. And the interaction's interaction. And as always, if you guys want to support the channel, there's ways to do it below. PayPal, Patreon, all that stuff. And Patreon links, if you join Patreon, you get early access to the files. Right now, Patreon subscribers have access already to the 2-door Jeep, the 4-door Jeep, and the turrets, so they can print out the Jeeps, which will not be publicly available. The basic model of the 2-door Jeep will be publicly available in a little over 2 weeks. And the lift kit will be available to the Patreon folks to make the lifted version of the Jeep today, because Roy Holly asked for that, and I've already got it. It just I haven't printed it out and tested it, so this would be a beta thing. But again, I give beta access to stuff to Patreons as well, so Patreon supporters. So appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys. I'll probably pop into Mike Whaley's hangout tomorrow, so go over there and support him for that, and then I'll see you on this channel again on Thursday. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next time.